Hi National Testing Network team. My name is Tung Nguyen. Today, I will walk you through my take-home assignment project, which is a mini app called Exam Scheduler, where a registered candidate can use it to schedule his or her choice of exam at one of the available testing centers. Just a disclaimer, I have never used Confusion or New Confusion programming language before. My usual go-to framework is Node or Express.js with JavaScript programming language. It took me a lot of time and a huge amount of intense research on how to code with Confusion, since there are not a lot of beginner-friendly tutorials that I can find online. However, I'm very proud to say that I only had to spend almost 2 days during the weekends to code up these solutions. If my source code does not look neat or perfect, I hope you guys take this into consideration. Okay, let's get started then. The app requirement, according to Scott, would be a place where a registered candidate can select an exam and then select a center that supports that exam. Okay, so right now I am using MySQL Workbench to create my database. Because I already created the database, I can reverse engineer it to an EER diagram or an enhanced entity relationship diagram. What I mean is that I will use this database option, reverse engineer, and MySQL Workbench will create a diagram like this. In this EER diagram, we have three main tables or classes. The first one is candidate, which has one primary key, candidate ID, and two attributes, candidate first name and candidate last name. The second one is exam, which has one primary key, exam ID, and one attribute, exam name. And the last table is center, which is similar to exam. Now, when we create the app, we have to think to display the exams that are available at a specific center. Do we want to create duplicate records in either table exam and centers, or should we create a linking table? From what I have learned from the past about database normalization forms, I'm going with the linking table route. Hence, here we have a table named exam available at center with a composite primary key that created from two primary keys from two tables, the exam table and the center table. In this table, we then will specify which exam is available at which center. There will not be duplicate records like exam A available at center A cannot appear more than once in this table. Another reason why we have to create a linking table in the database is because exam table and center table have many-to-many relationships. One exam can be available at multiple centers, and one center can have multiple exams available. I don't want to store information about testing centers inside the table exam, and similarly, I don't want to store information about exam in center tables. So in final database normalization form, we have a linking table right here. Then I create another linking table, candidate schedule exam at center, to record the action of a candidate scheduling an exam at a center. I didn't create a composite or primary key for this table because a candidate can retake the same exam at the same center that he took before, meaning we can have a duplicate record in this table. This behavior can be eliminated if required. I have attached two SQL scripts to create a database testing center for your local testing. And I have attached those two SQL scripts inside the zip file. This is the two SQL scripts that I have just mentioned. So I will have to delete or drop this database for me to better demonstrate what I want to talk next. First, we will have to install MySQL. You can search it online via Google, and then you will have to also install and use a MySQL tool. I use MySQL Workbench to run the SQL script. And the SQL script that I will be running is the testingcenter.sql. If you run into any errors because of the syntax, then you can use another SQL script that I also included inside the zip file. This SQL script looks simpler because I created it by hand, and this SQL script looks more complex because it was created by using MySQL Workbench export tool. Now I will run the script. I will refresh the database, and then as you can see, I have just recreated the testing center database. Now let's move on to the main app. For the Coldfusion app, first you will have to install Coldfusion. I used the Coldfusion Express edition via this page. Then you will have to extract the folder testing center in the zip file into the Coldfusion hosting folder, the www root folder. This is the zip file. And you will have to extract this folder, the testing center, because this is the folder that contains the source code. Extract this folder into your Coldfusion install folder. You have to extract it into this folder. And just as you see, I have extracted. We have a testing folder right here. Then you will have to start your Coldfusion server, which I already did. Then in the Coldfusion admin page, add the database you just created as a data source. The admin page will be usually accessible by entering this URL, and then you will have to configure or adding a new data source that pointing to the database that you have just created. I have already did this before. So as you can see right here, I already have the testing center as the data source. Okay, I think everything is done. Now let us talk about the basic structure of our web application. This is how the web app gonna look like. We have 4 pages in total. Oh, just a reminder, I am using Microsoft Visual Studio Code to use as my main IDE. The main homepage will include a basic description about this app. And then from the homepage is index.cfm. We can go to see all of the exams that all of the candidates have already scheduled. Right now, we only have 2 records since these are seeded when we created the database. We will add some more later. Then from either this page or from the home page, we can go to the page where we can start scheduling exams. In the scheduling exam page, there is a table that indicates which exam is available at which testing center. To schedule an exam, you will have to first select your name. If you don't see your name, then you have to create one. Let's go to the register your account page, and then let's create another account. I will have to enter the first name and the last name. Click on register account. It will show a pop-up that say I have successfully created a candidate account. I go by the first name Joe and the last name Doe. And you should also take note of the candidate ID, because there may be some duplicate account that have the same first name and the same last name. Okay, let's go back to the exam scheduling page. Now we can see that John Doe have already appeared in the selection option table. I will select John Doe right here. After selecting my name, I will select the exam that I want to schedule. In this case, I will select exam B, and then click on Next button. The page will then select all of the available testing center in the database and display it into the web page. If there is no available center, an error message will appear. What I mean by this is, let's go back, and then we will try to select an exam that doesn't have any available testing center, which is the exam D. It will show an error right here. So after select an exam and also select an available testing center and submit the form, I will choose the Everest Center, because this exam B, is only available at one testing center. I will submit the form. A record will then be inserted into the database, and then return back to the web page for displaying information, as you can see right here. Then, if we go back to the page where it displays all of the schedule of all of the candidates, we will see that a new record has been successfully inserted. In this case, John Doe has successfully scheduled exam B at Everest Center, and the record number is 3, and the candidate ID is 2. Okay, now let's quickly talk regarding the coding part of this application. We have 4 pages here. The home page, index.cfm, only contains Bootstrap 4 and HTML tags. Bootstrap 4 is a CSS library to have a developer quickly create some pretty buttons, forms, and is scalable with different mobile devices. This page, the page to display all of the exam schedule, aka allexamschedule.cfm, will contain a CF query. It will contain a CF query tag where I included a SQL select statement to retrieve information from the database. I then display the data using a CF output tag. Let's move on to the next page. The page where you use to schedule an exam, scheduleexam.cfm, is a little bit trickier. I use a bunch of CF if statements to check and resubmit the form multiple times. I also use a bunch of CF query to query the database. We can discuss more about this page in detail if you decide I could move on to the next round. In this video, I just want to discuss the general layout of this web application. but I did spend a whole lot of time on this page. I wish to exchange the thoughts and reasons I put in my code when I have the chance to go into the on-site interview. The final page, register.cfm, is where you could create an account. It is similar to schedule exam.cfm page. It's basically just an HTML form. Then after being submitted, an insert statement will be executed and put the form data into the database, and then it will display some of the information from the database back to the web page again. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I had a lot of time coding. I had a lot of time. I'm sorry. I mean, is that I had a lot of fun coding this challenge. Again, even though this is my first time working with Confusion and its language, I'm very proud of what I have achieved within such a short period of time. Please let me know if you guys encounter any errors or have any questions or concerns that need to be answered. Don't hesitate to email me at my personal email, tung.nguyen@tungthecoder.f, or call or text me at 206-307-1901. I very much appreciate any feedback that you guys have for me. Thank you and have a nice day.